Hello everybody, welcome to League C, Nerdbound versus Catstealer. As of now, this is still the first game. I was supposed to be here from the start, but I couldn't make it because things happened. But I'm still here early enough to where I think I can just still commentate, so I will. I have no idea what's currently going on. I literally just showed up, and I'm here. But we'll see what's going on and go from there, I suppose. So there's an unholy amount of lighthouses gone, considering that there's Spice Merchant thinning. That almost certainly seems like a mistake to me, in my opinion. That seems wrong. But maybe it's not. Maybe there was tax considerations and lighthouse was like the only thing you could reasonably pick up, but I think I just wouldn't pick up anything at that point. I'm surprised there's only 3 Margraves gone total, given how big you can actually build here. It's turn 17. Again, I feel like even with tax and Margrave, the decks should be better than this. For sure. I don't know why there's 5 cargo ships gone. That seems like a mistake. Just looking at what's gone and what I would expect from this kind of deck, it seems like something has gone horribly wrong for both players. So I think one of the big takeaways here is definitely get more Margraves and definitely get less cargo ships, I feel like. But other than that, I guess we'll just follow what's going on here. It's not entirely clear who has what. I don't know who has 2 golds. Clearly, they both have 1. Okay, Nerdbound has 2 golds, because there's 1 here and there's 1 here. Okay. It's not clear who has the 2 Margraves. I'm not going to look it up either, so we're just going to find out as time allows. Okay, Nerdbound has the 2 Margraves. So it looks like Nerdbound is just... he has more successfully built here. I'm only seeing 1 lighthouse here, 2 lighthouses... So it looks like Catstealer's the one with the most lighthouses here. A whopping 6 lighthouses? Is that correct? 6, 7, 8, 9? It looks like Catstealer has 6 different lighthouses. Looks like he crowned a lighthouse as well, which he may have had to do because he doesn't seem to have very many villages. Nerdbound has 4 villages here. There's 2 here, which means Catstealer must have 4, or else the top card for Nerdbound is also a workers' village, which is also possible. It looks like they shuffled the deck because of this warehouse. Nerdbound did draw a deck at some point, it seems like, since he shuffled here. So we should, in theory, know what this top card is. What did he toss with the warehouse? He played the warehouse twice. He tossed the lighthouse, silver, gold... cargo ship. It might... I think the top card there is cargo ship, actually. I don't see a cargo ship anywhere. I think it's cargo ship on top. Nerdbound definitely needs more draw. I would look into that. Piles are very low. Like, a province almost seems required. Even with fleet, I feel like I would still want a province. So Province Margrave, that's going to be 13 plus 3 debt. That's about 16. So Nerdbound doesn't really seem to be suffering much in the realm of actions, especially with all the crowns. So I definitely would look to be taking Province Margrave, I think. Seems like the logical thing here. And if I'm dissecting Catstealer's deck correctly, Catstealer only has 1 Margrave, has a quadrillion lighthouses, and it seems a lot of cargo ships. So his deck should fall apart, notwithstanding the fact that he has... Wait, what? Why are there 16 coppers in the trash? Are people buying coppers? Nerdbound bought a copper? Why? Did he buy it to fuel his spice merchant? That's very confusing. I don't understand. I don't see a reason to ever buy copper here, but maybe there is a reason. I don't know the situation. At any rate, piles are low enough to where I just want to punt. I want to make sure that I just have full control of this game. So I'm not sure about lowering the piles. Like picking up a crown here seems like a mistake. Margrave almost seems certainly better. But other than that, I do like the province. The warehouse seems reasonable. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Catstealer is forced to buy province here, it seems. And I would buy a Margrave as well. I feel like would be a reasonable choice, I think, for Catstealer. But yeah, Nerdbound's definitely the favorite here in this game, I think. Just based on the composition of the deck. Like, Catstealer does not have a draw card in the next 16 cards. I believe there is one warehouse, but even with that, it's going to take at least 3 turns to get through all of this. Well, 2 turns, but the third turn, assuming the draws work out correctly, it's still going to be a very, very short new shuffle. I think this is definitely Province Margrave. I don't think Catstealer is much in the way of a chance here. Without going to the new shuffle, I think Catstealer has to play a longer game here. There's no like short-term way to win. Not with only one Margrave. Oh, he even has a cargo ship down. He like definitely would have set the Margrave aside. It seems very much to be a mistake. Catstealer's worried a little too much about tax, I think. Let me join the Discord commentary. I am now here and in Game Channel 1 for the Nerdbound game. Okay, so everything's going okay. Alright, everything seems alright. Okay. So we're just going to do this. Okay. So Nerdbound draws his deck. I would not be surprised if there's a win. All it takes is 12 money and 4 buys, which looks like is already here. In fact, really it's only 13 money. Because you could buy the lighthouse, the estate. Oh wait, no, it's 14 still. Okay. Yeah, that's still 14. You don't have to pay off the debt from the estate, but you do have to pay off the debt from the workers' village because there's 2 left there. So it's still 14. 4, 8, 9, 10. No, it's 12. It's 12. Anyway, this easily wins. So we can mark this one up as a win. Nerdbound was an A. I don't think he's going to miss this one. There is Fleet, though. I forgot about Fleet. I always forget about Fleet. Even then, I still think, especially knowing when Catstealer set aside, this still very much feels like a risk you can reasonably take. Like, just buy the province here. Why are we buying copper? Why are we buying copper? That is so bizarre. I literally don't understand it. Also, the crowns were already empty, so I don't even know what I was talking about with the estate. Again, I'm not... I literally just jumped into this game, so I'm gonna miss a couple things. But we did at least correctly assess the game for the most part. Whoops. I hope that didn't do something on the screen. So Catstealer has to... wait. He did get around to the shuffle. That's interesting. At any rate, first game goes to Nerdbound. Okay. So we're on to game 2. And this looks to be another long game. It looks like this is potentially a Spice Merchant Ambassador Open, except that's not really possible with Tax as first player. However, second player can get away with it, potentially. It doesn't line up this way. It doesn't line up this time, because Nerdbound would have had to have bought the Spice Merchant first. And I don't think I would buy Spice Merchant as player 1 anyways, because I would like to get Ambassador Silver as an open, and there's just no other way to do it other than take your 1 tax. So this feels pretty automatic. It looks like both players will be opening Ambassador Silver. There's not too many tricks you can do. You could... No. You could do Silos, maybe. I guess Silos isn't crazy. Opening Silos Ambassador is not that crazy. Maybe I would have done that. It seems to me as reasonable as anything else. Catstealer, he's going to be tempted to pick up this Jester, I think. It's the card you see and you just want to click on it, but I feel like the buy here is actually Spice Merchant. But it is tempting to click on Jester here. At least it's tempting for me to click on it, but I feel like Spice Merchant is the correct buy, and Catstealer does see that as well. I could have seen Nerdbound sending the 1 estate and picking up a Silos here. I don't think taxing does that much here. I mean, it's better than nothing. It's one of those better than nothing things, I suppose. But I really would like to see a Silos from either of these players. I feel like the cycling would be very good. Even Catstealer could get a couple turns use out of it and it would be worth the buy, because it's not like there's anything worth buying it for other than like port early. And the ports don't really do anything until you get thinner. So I think Silos is completely reasonable to take. Like here, Catstealer could have cycled 1 copper, and the coppers are going to be flying around quite a few times. I guess you just tax port. I would still tax the Spice Merchant. Ah, very nice from Catstealer. They're both playing a little fast, I think. There's a lot to think about, but I would still lean towards sending the coppers aside, I think. I don't think the silver is all that important. I think that's Catstealer's first mistake here. I just would prioritize thinning at all costs. Especially with your ports. I would be looking to punish. Also, don't see a reason to not trigger that shuffle. Personally. So that's a bit of a rough turn for Catstealer. He ends up taking 2 estates here. Nerdbound does have the bridge. There's really nothing to buy, though. I don't want a third ambassador, and I definitely don't want a silver. So I guess you just tax again. And he taxes bridge, which I guess is reasonable. I feel like I would rather thin a card. Catstealer finally gets the silos. And he's going to get a lot of value out of the silos. It's really only unfortunate he didn't take it sooner. And you really can aggressively trigger shuffles with silos. Even all these coppers in the shuffle, you can just cycle through them again. So, really, there should be no fear in triggering this shuffle. I do want a second ambassador for Catstealer. Ooh, a curse. Maybe second Spice Merchant is better, though. Probably actually second Spice Merchant. I think I'm leaning second Spice Merchant here. Definitely. I don't know what the messenger is doing. I don't like that at all. It doesn't do anything. It's just a terminal silver. And you give your opponent a port, which doesn't do much, but like it just feels like I wouldn't have bought that. I guess messenger has buy, but there's just bridge, so why would you get messenger? This could be a turn where Catstealer cries that this messenger is not a Spice Merchant. It's not very likely, given that Catstealer will probably see about 5 cards here, so it's pretty likely he'll just see a port, and it will be fine. But still, it could be rough. Alright. Ooh. Is the Spice Merchant not going to hit? That's interesting. Ooh, 2 curses now. I think I would even just kill this silver. I don't want silver. I don't like this. I think I would have killed this silver, for sure. Send something back with the ambassador. And I still think this could just be a Spice Merchant. I think given how those shuffles went, maybe Catstealer should have just sent back 2 coppers instead of 3. I know I said 3 coppers, but that was just clearly a mistake. Wow, that's a thick deck. I don't get all of these messengers. The thing is the way I'm thinking about these decks is that they tend to... There's really no draw here outside of Golem. Like, if you Golem 2 ports, then you net draw. Otherwise, you're stuck with a 5-card hand. So you have to start looking at what you want to do with 5-card hands. And do you want to waste a card slot on playing Messenger, or do you want to waste a card slot on playing Bridge? And I think Bridge is just the superior choice here. Messenger doesn't seem to be doing much that Bridge wouldn't just be doing if you really wanted the buy, which is why I'm really down on this messenger. Catstealer is prioritizing economy a little too much, whereas I think I would be trying to prioritize thinning a little bit more. So, for example, taking Messenger and Ambassador here seems to be just strictly worse, in my opinion, than just taking Ambassador if you really wanted it. Especially since you give your opponent a 3rd Ambassador, which they won't really want the 3rd Ambassador, but they'll take it. I mean, they didn't have to pay for it, so it seems reasonable to take a 3rd one if it's given to you. Both of the decks are quite thick, and I don't think... What? That's very confusing. I don't know why we don't draw on there. The Golem hitting 4 potion with a bunch of ambassadors in the deck seems very difficult to do. It's possible, but it's definitely not going to be easy. And also this triple collision could be an issue. You're going to toss both of these coppers and look for a port or something, but the Jesters feel premature. Jesters, I feel like you add once you have more deck control, and neither of these decks really have much control. And with how powerful Spice Merchant and Ambassador are, I really don't think there's any excuse to not have a thin deck here. Wow, horrible draw here for Nerdbound. Absolutely killer. It does look like Catstealer will get the Golem here. Very lucky. And I would take this bridge. And you will toss this shuffle with the Messenger. I suppose Messenger, if you're looking at this deck from a perspective of you want to cycle every single turn, the Messenger makes a little more sense. But also the Messenger is stopping you from cycling naturally every single turn. Whoa! Oh, he has a debt. He has a debt. Even with a debt, that seems strange. Now you have to buy potion again. I'm very confused by this play. Huh. What are we going to tax here? I would tax Spice Merchant still. It seems to be the most important card Nerdbound can get right now, so I would definitely tax it. I'm perfectly willing to kill Silvers too. Especially when you have Messenger already. Silver's a perfectly fine card to kill. If you're so worried about economy. I'm not sure who's ahead here at the moment. I feel like neither deck is really fully materialized. I would say Catstealer's deck is slightly better because he has the Spice Merchant, but he's also making some very strange plays that I don't really understand. Like, he has 3 Messengers in his deck. He killed the potion he just bought. And then he didn't even play Ambassador, which would be, like, the main reason why he would cycle and go on. I'm very confused. Like, I would happily kill Silver here, I think. He won't, but he probably should. So we're going to do this potion idea again. And this could go really poorly for Catstealer. Has to find a Messenger or a Silver. Well, Messenger was on top. Nerdbound takes the Messenger, which is kind of surprising for me. I would have just happily given it to Catstealer. It seems like a card I really don't want. Potions. I mean, I think the potion plan is quite reasonable, especially when you can build with bridge. For sure. I would be sending Silvers over at this point. I mean, it's not better. Whoa. 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 What? What? Why not just send 2 estates over? That's very confusing. Could even send multiple potions over. Because potions are pretty terrible past the first one. I think just about anything was better than sending the Ambassador back and not junking him twice. That was a very, very confusing play. At any rate, they're playing Curse Ping Pong right now. I think Nerdbound really, really wants this Spice Merchant. I'm not sure how many coppers are left. in their decks. So it could be a mistake to take the Spice Merchant. But certainly, it doesn't seem crazy to me. Double bridge. Yeah, I really have no idea who's going to win this one. These decks are both terrible. I would expect an eventual pile out between the messengers and the jesters. But how that goes, wow, what a good turn for Catstealer. Very nice turn. You get to send 2 estates. You get to put all of these great cards back into your shuffle. And then you get to, in my opinion, buy nothing. I wouldn't buy anything here. I would just tax. It's pretty funny he's taxing Golem, given that I think Catstealer might have the better deck right now. I would be sending silvers. The silvers are so bad. They're stopping you from playing your bridges and doing other stuff. Like, silver is pretty much copper in this game. And that it stops you from playing bridge. More bridges, which don't make too much sense. I would not be tossing this turn, simply because bridge and messenger are stop cards and you really don't want to stop. I'm afraid we're going to see a bridge and then tax bridge. Okay. I mean, I don't like that play either, but this game is getting dangerously close to over. I mean, you just give Catstealer the Ambassador. You're handing them off earlier. That means you don't want too many of them, which means you give Catstealer the Ambassador, right? Okay. Otherwise, why would you do this? I still think you take the Golem, even with 7 dead. He took it without hesitation, which I would have hesitated for a moment, but definitely was the correct play. I would just play another Jester. I mean, it's not for the memes, it's just correct to take it. I think if there is anything to say about these decks is that I would have liked to have seen more aggressive thinning, taking less cards that stop your deck. Just get really thin and then afterwards worry about adding things like Jester and Bridge and Golem. That would be my thinking. I'm really not sure I would toss here either. I believe Catstealer didn't send that estate over, which is odd. I mean, I guess the game is close to over, but Nerdbound will finally get the first golem play. Catstealer will get to province. And I think... Oh, no. No province. Well, definitely take the golem. And I'm... not entirely confident I would take a bridge. I think I would just do this, yes. So this is a rotten, rotten golem for Nerdbound. This is a very bad golem. He's not going to be able to do anything on this turn. We'll play Jester first for information, I suppose. For information's sake. Doesn't even get anything. Doesn't curse. Given Nerdbound is not going to reach his next golem for probably about 2 turns, I would be tempted to just tax the province here. But that could be wrong. Could be taxing bridge to stop Catstealer from maybe somehow winning, even though it's just realistically not feasible to win in 1 turn, even with a great golem play. Like, the odds of that, you would need... Well, golem would have to flip 2 ports, so you draw net 1 card, then you'd have to play 6 bridges, and that still wouldn't win. It would just tie. Well, no, that's not true. There is Messenger. So maybe taxing Messenger is the correct play then. More golems. Alright. Nerdbound can and probably should just take the province here. Gives him quite a bit of leg room. And you see, these messengers are starting to seriously gum up Catstealer's deck. They're worse than nothing. Yeah, a lot of the time. They're just not doing all that much. Is there a win here? Yes. If you Ambassador Bridge twice, then Messenger, click on Messenger and send Ambassador, so Nerdbound has a win here. Wait. No, he's literally a coin short. Because of the 1 debt. That's so rough. That's so rough. If he had 1 more action, he would have been able to play bridge. And it would have worked. But as it stands, literally 1 coin short. Thanks, Dad. You're the best. Like, the debt on Messenger with all the ambassadors around doesn't seem to actually do all that much. There's really nothing to take except Duchy. So, I think you just take Duchy. The decks are thick. They're never getting under control. This just feels like a Duchy to me. Just on the off chance Catstealer somehow provinces before you can end the game, you also have a Duchy in insurance. Seems completely reasonable to me to just take the Duchy. Jester, it doesn't do much, but it's also quite harmless to take. There's really nothing to buy here. Just tax. Which taxing bridge does nothing. You can always just messenger it, but I suppose you're taxing it. Okay, there should be a win here. Maybe not. No. If you had played less fast... No, Golem flipped 2 bridges. There's nothing to think about. Okay. That turn kind of went by a little fast. I would just send the 2 potions over, and I would be looking to buy this Duchy. The Duchy looks quite good. Unfortunately, with the amount of debt on Messenger, there's just no way to empty the bridges and empty Ambassador here. You can lower the Ambassador by 1, but why? Why do that? If it's not a win, I don't see a reason to do this, so just send over 2 potions and buy your Duchy. I don't think Golem here does much. I suppose you could play it safe, send 1 Ambassador back, and buy Golem. I suppose. Maybe that's better. I don't think it is, but maybe it is. It seems about the same to me. I'm sorry for that bump. Okay. Well, Nerdbound looks pretty won at this point. Getting the province was huge. And Nerdbound, in large part, got to province because he got less messengers in his deck. So he got to do more on his turns. But there was also a very large element of luck involved. And I don't want to just say that Nerdbound's deck is better, because it's really not. It's like marginally better, but it's also just pretty awful. Potion seems like a terrible card. I don't know why you would take it as Nerdbound, so you just give it to Catstealer. And again, I just kind of like Duchy here. Duchy seems like a good card. Can Catstealer steal this one somehow? I'm not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. There's nothing. There's nothing here. I'm surprised Catstealer didn't tax. I assume that's what this undo is about. Okay. Is there a win here? Not really. The duchy looks good again. Duchy looks completely fine. At some point here, Nerdbound will draw the correct combination of cards that it will take to end the game. Catstealer will just never get their deck under control. I mean, I don't even think Catstealer can hit 8, ever. It just seems very unlikely. But miracles do happen from time to time. And with the, I believe Catstealer has 2 golems. So maybe, if you just believe, the heart of the cards can deliver. This game was so bad that Catstealer literally just messaged me apologizing for how horrible this game is, as if it's his fault that this game got drawn. It's not his fault. It's funny, though, that he felt the need to apologize. Okay. Well, this was an awful golem. It was a very awful golem. Just more taxing. More taxing. Okay, is this it? Is this finally the time? Yes. Finally, win in hand for Nerdbound. He sends 2 bridges over. Check. I mean, 2 bridges... Well, no. Now it's not a win. You had to send 2 bridges over, and then you had to messenger the ambassadors. He missed it. It's funny that Nerdbound says there's got to be a way to make more progress, because he literally would have won here. But I don't blame anyone for not being completely checked out. Although my persona here would literally be, I want to get out of this game as fast as I can, so I would be hyper vigilant about any pileouts. But I don't begrudge anyone for missing anything. I think you have to play Jester on the off chance you hit a green card or a curse. Because you just have to score in just about any way possible. And I don't think playing 3 bridges is, as you know, it's not going to help you any more than just playing the Jester. Oh. It's a rough hit. I don't think I'm desperate enough to take that estate. I don't think I'm desperate enough to take 1 debt for an estate. Very interesting game. At this point, the Jesters look primed to run. They look just as hilarious of a messenger target to end. Ouch. Well. Okay, Jester. Hit a curse. Or hit a green card. Or just take 2 estates. Alright. This is it. He has to see the messenger end. I mean, he doesn't even have to see the messenger end now. He can just click on bridge. And it's finally over. Nerdbound wins a second game. After a long and drawn-out process of absolute misery, it has finally happened. The game is finally over. Nerdbound is up 2-0, and hopefully the next couple of games will be a little more interesting. I mean, the first game was interesting. There's definitely a lot going on. Okay, wow. Alright. So the debate here is remake or research open, I think. Remake is usually the classic choice, and there's really no reason to spike 5 here, because there are no 5s, so it seems remake is the obvious choice in this specific scenario. If there was a power 5, I would potentially lean research, as research could hit 5 or 6 with an estate kill, and it's not like silver's all that great. And Harbinger is, well, it's Harbinger. So, remake is the thing to do here. I think I would be taking a silver over Harbinger. At least the first estate could be a silver. And I'm sure it goes without saying, but don't buy Herbalist. I'm sure everyone here knows that, though. So, it doesn't need to be said. I just don't like the uncomfortable pause when you have 2 money, and then you're like, maybe. Maybe. This could be research already. Could definitely have seen a research there. Ironmonger's probably the better buy, but I would have considered a research. Because it's not like the Mongers do too much. They just help you cycle a little bit. They get you going. And then one turn you hit 7. Like here you hit 7. I would be tempted to not even thin here and pick up King's Court. I'm not sure that's correct. But it looks like he's going to. I don't begrudge him for doing that. I don't even think King's Court is all that great, to be quite honest. Like, King's Courting an Ironmonger draws you 2 cards. Well, really, it draws you 1 card. Because the King's Court and the Ironmonger itself are cards, which it replaces both of them, and then it draws an extra card. But you do get a lot of cycling. In ouch. Ouch. That's rough. Well, this is an easy KC remake. You get to even wave the worm the last one, which is kind of cool. Is there consideration for Skulk? Given how little economy there is? Probably not. Probably still just Ironmonger. You can always trash into a Skulk and draw it if you really need it. You can't KC a gold. No, You can't. But it's a little harder to buy KC without a gold. Especially when all your treasures are gone. And yeah, I guess you could remodel... I'm sorry, I guess you could remake a duchy into... I guess there is Nomad Camp as well. But I feel like Skulk is just better. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I certainly wouldn't take a Skulk there. I think you top deck the remake here, yep. Catstealer is very ahead. And he correctly remakes here. Well, you toss that, although it really doesn't. Do you toss that? You get an extra coin if you don't toss this, actually. So don't toss it. Keep it on top. Get your extra coin. Even though you still don't hit 7. Well, I would rather hex him than take an estate. For sure. So now we're entering into the realm where Remake stops doing things. It's really not all that good anymore. Skulk is not a... Skulk ordinarily would be a great remodel target, but it just isn't this time around. Remake Exiles Estates, yeah, okay. But you can remake a gold into a King's Court, and you can remake a Harbinger into a Nomad Camp. So that is another way to make money. That is a thing you can do here. So that's another reason to get Skulk. You can turn your golds into King's Courts. Man, I'm glad my intuition is correct. That's really nice. That doesn't always happen. And you still want King's Courts. Like, let's draw. I don't think you toss this. I think you keep it. Because you want a remake into King's Court. Now it's a lot harder to get King's Court. Yeah, you have to top deck this. So now I would expect... Yeah. Okay, so here's what you do. Remake the gold into King's Court. Turn this Harbinger into a Nomad Camp. Then you play the second Harbinger, top-decking the King's Court. Then you play Ironmonger. Then you KC the Nomad Camp. Then you get to buy another King's Court, and then you get to also buy a Skulk. We're going to see if he does this. It's a very simple line to see. Okay, maybe it's not so simple, but... He's gotten this far, so I can only imagine that's what he's going to do. Maybe he could get something other than Nomad Camp, but I want to just buy another King's Court. King's Court seems like the card. Mostly I want draw. Because draw allows me to do more remake stuff. Okay, cool. Alright, great. Well, easy toss. You could get cute here and buy Ironmonger Skulk, but I still think I just want the King's Court. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe the correct play here is to get cute. But then you have another Skulk in your deck. It's really not easy to get rid of with Remake, and I think you just buy King's Court. Yeah. I guess there's a case to be made where you King's Court the Skulk and just take another 4, which would be Skulk, I presume. Because now Catstealer will be drawing, assuming he draws both of his King's Courts together, he will be drawing far more. This seems greedy. This is very greedy. I don't like this at all. It's a very greedy line. We'll see if it works out, but it's not looking too good. It's very risky. And the funny thing is before this turn, Catstealer was definitely ahead. Like, I think you could easily say that he was winning. Especially with the... Was diluted the first, or was it the third? Oh, diluted was even the first hex. Like, the other two don't matter so much. Bad Omens hurts. Bad Omens hurts a lot. Greed hurts a lot. Top decking 3 coppers? That's brutal. I mean, I don't know. If I knew those were my top 3 hexes, I might actually KC the hexes instead of actually taking the King's Court. I'm not gonna lie. Those are some amazing hexes. Like, look at this. Look at how it stopped him from doing anything on his turn, except buy King's Court. He has to kill 2 coppers here and take the King's Court. It's very... Except he can't. He can't take King's Court. That's like a game-losing hex combination. It's very brutal. What a lucker. Well, yeah, you top deck that. You're not top decking that. I guess you keep that. Is there any loopy stuff you can do? I don't know about fishing for the other KC at this point. I'm not sure. It's not clear. So this is interesting in that I want to... I'm not sure this was the line. Maybe it is. Okay, well, you can kill your last copper, draw your KC Nomad Camp, and then play to your 2 skulks. Okay. Sure. You can do this. That's fair. But do kill copper here, please. Don't risk the 50% coin flip for no reason. And please, buy King's Court this time. Oh, I mean, that still hurts a lot. The poverty's brutal. Maybe I'm just misevaluating hexes, because these are really painful. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, ouch. taking a curse and discarding down to 3? Well, the fear did nothing. I guess you buy a Harbinger here. I feel like Harbinger's better than nothing, especially with remodel stuff. And like the estate seems pretty inconsequential. And I don't think a pile-out's happening in at least the next 2 turns. So I really would have just taken the Harbinger there. But it's looking like game over for Nerdbound. That poverty, the diluted... Yeah, I would have resigned there, I think. Absolutely killer. Killer game for Catstealer. He took quite a few risks. He gambled, but it worked out this time for him. I guess you could say he stole the match. Okay. This board's really funny in that you can mint all of your treasures and then alms. That's funny. You can also alms with tack, which also seems interesting. It allows you to play with tack and do some leprechaun stuff a little more reliably. Get a big mint off. I'm not sure any of that's correct, by the way. It's also Coin of the Realm. You can call Coin of the Realm at any time. It counts as a card in play for Leprechaun, which is also useful to know. What would I open here? It's not clear. Double raise? Probably just double raise, huh? Because you have alms. You don't need anything other than alms. So double raise, okay. And then if you hit 5 on a freak turn, you definitely mint. And it will eventually happen. Good bluff with the alms here. You can scare your opponent into thinking he might have the 5-2. It's a very interesting board. So I guess I was analyzing Tactician, and I was looking at how you could use it with alms, but once I actually looked at the opening, I've almost completely discarded Tactician as a viable option here. But it is true that Tactician does combo with alms. Minstrel. What? No. What? The Smithy makes sense. The Smithy says, I want to hit 5. I want to mint. The Minstrel makes no sense at all. Makes 0 sense. So once again, I think Catstealer has a definite advantage in the opening here. And with KC, advantages tend to exponentiate. However, Nerdbound gets a ridiculous draw here. He opened Minstrel Raise, got a turn 3 Smithy, managed to find that Smithy turn 4, and he gets to min. Like, what? That you don't gamble on that. That's ridiculous. What a dirty lucker. What luck. He has to mint, though. Like, this is a clear mint. Maybe it's not a clear mint. I don't know. I feel like it is, though. And then I would immediately get a Leprechaun, get a couple golds. Yeah, you're going to take a couple hexes. That's okay, because you want to get to Haggler really fast, and Leprechaun's the fastest way to do that. You only need to take 1 gold, even. And then after that, you can just gain a bunch of cards. You can gain Minstrels and Squires and Smithies, and then your Leprechaun will easily activate. And you're also going to take a couple coins later. But Leprechaun is definitely the fastest way to get from point A to point B. I guess Squire gets you there too, but you want the Leprechaun, so it feels like it saves you a turn. Even with the Hex. Like, really, the only one that hurts you is the two most dreaded ones, which is the one that turns your money into nothing, and then the one that makes you diluted. But then you just alms, so it's fine. I wouldn't say diluted is nothing, because diluted stops you from buying Haggler for one turn, which is relevant if there's a mirror and it's close. It's very relevant, in fact. But otherwise, yes, it's completely nothing. I'm also surprised no one has a Leprechaun yet. The Squire stuff is strange, to say the least. Nerdbound can take Leprechaun here, yes. And should. I would not be taking silver here. I would definitely be taking by getting Leprechaun and Raise, as John says. Raise is better than nothing, and you want the Leprechaun. I'm kind of afraid they're not going to play with Leprechaun. I mean, Nerdbound will, I think. Maybe he'll gain it off of Haggler this time. Maybe that's his thinking, is he can gain it off of the like, maybe he's counting his actions here and he just thinks, okay, I'm not at 7 yet, and next turn I can reliably hit 7, and then that's when I want Leprechaun. Maybe that's his thinking. I'm not really tracking his deck. And I would be a little more concerned about that if I was playing the game and hyper-focused. So maybe that is his thinking, but I definitely would not have taken the silver. The silver seems quite bad. The deck seems to have no problem hitting 5, and if you really need the silver, you can probably just get it next turn. Especially since you almost for a Minstrel. But mostly it's that Leprechaun just gives you gold, so why would you want silver? That's the biggest thing. So Catstealer was ahead for about 2 turns. Nerdbound opened horribly, in my opinion, and then got like the absolute most killer high roll you could get from that opening. Like, it was incredible. And now he's just going to win off of that alone. Because I don't see how anyone could beat this. Unless Nerdbound doesn't play with Leprechaun. Maybe Catstealer can make a game of this if Nerdbound does not play with Leprechaun. But that seems like suicide to me. I would expect Nerdbound to get a Leprechaun this turn. That's my feeling, at least. We have 6 spectators. We have Wandering Winder. We have Puzzlebox, Johns, Stiro, and Halai Kubal. I don't know who Halai Kubal is. New person, but I've seen everyone else. And I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that too. I have no idea how to pronounce that. There doesn't seem to be much of a decision to be made here. I'm not going to play Mint. And I'm going to play Squire as buys. I can easily see taking coin. I have no problems with taking coin. But maybe not more than one. Or maybe two. It's certainly a little risky to take coin right now. But I don't think it's crazy either. Especially when you can just wish for an action card that draws. On an otherwise duddy turn, it seems completely fine to take coin. I mean, Nerdbound has, like, he has a raise, 2 minstrels. Expect to be playing wishes the turn you gain them. Yes, so do I. Whoa. Wait, I was so automatically assuming he was going to take Lep that I didn't even consider he wasn't going to do that. That's insane. Is Catstealer going to win? One, two, three, four, five. Oh man, he's not even at the wish level. And he bottom decked his Lep. Oh, he does get there. But this is still terrifying. You can always just wish for Haggler, so I don't. Is this another mint? Do you mint here again? I think you could mint there again, justifiably. Seems completely reasonable. Just make sure you don't dod like this. I mean, it was only a difference of like 2 cards, because you're still taking a mint. So maybe it wouldn't have mattered much. The Leprechaun will definitely highly outscale Nerdbound here. But as long as Nerdbound takes the Leprechaun this turn, I still think he's very much in control. However, he doesn't have buys here. He's not playing with any buys. He had to use the Squire for actions. Due to an unfortunate draw, this is quite this is quite rough for Nerdbound. Wait. Why are we taking silver? Why are we taking silver? He's not going to Province, is he? He's not going to Province. The only reason you would take silver there is the Province, and otherwise it makes, like, no sense. Okay, Nerdbound finally gets his Leprechaun. Those silvers are coming back to bite him. Catstealer dods. This seems completely lost. It's just, and Province is so bad, but I kind of don't fault him. Why are we not killing mint there? Is beyond me. This is a very clear mint kill. Yep, he would have found a minstrel too. Literal, he would have hit it. Anyway. It's a very interesting decision whether or not you take Squire or Minstrel. Minstrel makes you more consistent. He takes Coin, which seems like the worst option of all. I'm okay with gaining Coin off of Haggler, but I would never alms for it. Can Catstealer get his wish, get Haggler, and put the Haggler into play and get a buy? I don't think so. I don't think he has the actions to do that. He would need to do that to have any hope here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Well, at least you have a 50% odd of top and decking your wish, and he does. Not bad. Please don't buy a province. Okay. Alright. I mean, with how poorly Nerdbound is playing this, it might even be correct. I hate to say that, but definitely putting pressure on piles and scoring is a reasonable option, but really Minstrel is just the buy there, I think. You're not making your action problem any better by buying Province. You really want to gain and play these wishes. You want to get a Haggler. It feels like Catstealer is just slowly losing this game, whereas if he had just not provinced, I think he'd be ahead here even. Which is completely unthinkable given how Nerdbound drew on turn 4. Like, that is one of the craziest turns I've seen in a long time. Like, that was absolutely a game-winning turn. But then he didn't get the Leprechaun, and that was enough to get Catstealer back into the game. But that's how the cookie crumbles. The first order of business here is going to be raising the silver, I think. I have dreams of minting the coin. Since you're holding on to mint this long, it seems to make sense to mint the coin. At least to me. But you can also just Haggler get coin, so you could just kill mint too. Plus, playing mint gets in the way of actions, and I'm not sure there's enough actions without burning a wish on an action. It's also going to sound completely funny here, but I don't think it's crazy to, at one point, just wish for attack, play it, and then alms. Like, if Catstealer had drawn a little bit better, if he had the actions to gain and play exactly one card, Haggler wouldn't have been any better than Tack for him, I think. It's a very, very thin, narrow line of playing exactly one tack, but given how many cards Catstealer has, and the gain and play stuff you want to do with the wishes, it would have been a better tempo play, I think, than Haggler. Because you can just get the Haggler next turn anyway, and have the actions to support it. It wasn't ever possible, but It's definitely a potentiality that could have happened, and I think it's interesting enough to mention. So, Province, Swash, Minstrel, Squire seems completely reasonable. Raise is also fine, but I would have preferred the Squire. What a game. What a game. Catstealer's kind of uncomfortably close to taking a bunch of golds, which I don't think he wants to do. You're already taking golds off of the Leprechaun. So there may be some coffer management at some point down the line here. Probably not this turn. So there's realistically no way this Swash is going to give you stuff. This is very, very sad. I think this has to be Haggler. This wish has to be Haggler here. You could also just do what I said earlier. It still applies. You could still just wish for Tack here, and then Alms for Minstrel. You could definitely do that. I don't think that's crazy by any stretch of the imagination. It might even be the correct play. I don't know. I don't really agree with Wandering Winder and Johns. I think Haggler was fine. I think Tech was even better, but I could just be attached to the idea of making a card that ordinarily wouldn't work. So it looks like Nerdbound might not find his Leprechaun. We're up to 5 cards here. Actually, no, it's guaranteed. Well, it's not guaranteed, but it's pretty close to guaranteed. Because you can always raise trash itself. So playing... Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to work here. Except it does. Wow. So it was guaranteed. Okay. What am I talking about? I don't know. It's a good question. Nerdbound has such a chokehold on all of the Leprechauns. I'm sorry, on all of the Minstrels. That seems pretty insurmountable. Can Nerdbound even win here? He could have 2 Hagglers down and 3 buys. I don't think he wins this turn doing that, but next turn he could definitely. He'd have to gain 6 cards, and he'd have to score more than 2 provinces, so it's not possible. He'd have to buy double province and duchy, and I don't see 6 cards worth of pile here. What? What? Are we not? What? Oh, he has the coin. Okay. I was so confused. Okay, I thought he just had the one coin. When did he get the other coin? I missed it. Did he gain it mid-turn? No, he gained the... When did he get the coin? Oh, he minted it a turn ago. Okay, that's why I missed it. Okay. Alright. That's fair enough. I must have been looking away. Like, I just completely missed that. Or I didn't remember it or something. Double province is also very, very, very dangerous. I don't think you can double. I don't think you can realistically count on Catstealer top-decking 2 bad cards in double here. That seems very risky. In fact, that's probably an even better reason to get tack is the province pressure, although I think he bought a province last turn anyway. He did. So the provinces would have been at 5, so maybe that would not have applied then. Also, the minstrels may have already been out when I said to get a minstrel all those turns back. I don't know. I didn't look. They're out now. I didn't know if they were out before. Yeah, this seems reasonable to me. Deck could still dud. Deck could very well still dud, although this is not a dudding hand. This is a winning hand for Nerdbound. And this is very, very, very scary. Do you raise the gold? I think you raise the gold here. You need to have a turn. You have to double here. That was so risky. Wow. Okay, we're up to 4. Up to 5. And the turn's over here. Wow. I don't think Province was wrong either. I think Province is completely reasonable. You have to hope your opponent duds, and yeah. This game is over, I think. Can Nerdbound triple? No, I don't think so. Maybe it's close. It seems hard to triple. But I think, I mean, if Nerdbound triples, it's over anyway. It really doesn't matter. If Nerdbound doubles, I'm not even sure Catstealer could win. It's just not... There's a lot to think about, and I'm very bad at these situations. At any rate, this looks like an easy double. Yeah, this is already just double. It may even be triple. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25. This is just triple. Easy triple, too. Wow. Okay. Well, then Province there was clearly correct. Okay. We are on to Game 5. Nerdbound up 3, Catstealer 1. So far. Whoops. Let's close Firefox. I don't know why I had that open, but okay. Oh, another miserable game. Okay, I'm gonna get a drink. I'm not even gonna bother talking about the opening. This one's just awful. What a rotten game. Okay, we are back. Okay. Alright. So, militia. Canal with no buy seems early, but maybe there's no better time to do it. I don't know. So the hunting parties will go down The game's gonna last long enough to where it just seems like a pile-out isn't going to happen. And there's colony on the board, so we're probably going to see groundskeepers lowered a lot. I guess with Canal, messenger pile-outs are a little more likely, because the hunting parties will run pretty low. Maybe the groundskeepers get low. Maybe there's a pile-out after all, but it's... I think reasonably it's not going to happen. It's not an early one. Did someone messenger? No. Nerdbound has 2 messengers. Catstealer has 1. Okay. Canal there, as Nerdbound, seemed completely reasonable. He has 2 pies. He would have been able to use it a little more efficiently, but maybe he wants to clamp down on the hunting parties and make sure he wins the split. Or at least equalizes on the split, I should say. Now, Catstealer can do this, and you need a festival now. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you just take ports. Why do you need festival? Just take the ports. Very rotten draw for Nerdbound here. Could be just as bad for Catstealer as well. Now I expect groundskeepers to be taken. I would like to see a plat at some point. One short of plat here, otherwise I would have just taken it immediately. As it stands, I guess you just take groundskeeper experiment. Seems reasonable to take. At least. What's the most aggressive line whereby you can win? You can empty the experiments in the ports reasonably very quickly. You can, I'm not sure how... why did we play Experiment first? You want to find your hunting party. You want to find hunting party ideally with your second draw every time you play hunting party. So when you play Experiment, you risk drawing your second hunting party and skipping them, and that's exactly what happened. It was a very bad play. That's what happens when you click on cards too fast. Is this Colony? No. There's no reason to buy Colony here. I'm saying that because I'm eyeing the pile out ideas, and I really want this game to be over. But I can't let that dictate how to play this board. Now, playing Port there before Hunting Party was pretty wrong, because it now allows your Hunting Party to maybe draw Port instead of Hunting Party, and that's exactly what happened. You have to be very cognizant of your deck to play with Hunting Party correctly. Like here, it's just correct to just play Hunting Party every time you draw it. It probably wouldn't have worked in this case, but it could have worked, you know? Like, you gotta try. More groundskeepers? Okay. Very interesting. I don't think it's bad, I just think it's interesting. I was thinking about stuff like that a bit ago. Because the decks are so inconsistent even with the hunting parties that maybe Carto makes a lot of sense. It's starting to look like a pile out will happen. It could happen very, very quickly. Does Nerdbound only have one? No, he has two messengers, right? I'm not crazy. He's got two messengers. Yep, okay. Well, that's a definite massive disadvantage for Nerdbound. Less pile control, but he does have more overall searchability for doing this. So, as long as Nerdbound maintains a lead at a point, it's going to be okay. However, it looks like he only has one groundskeeper here. So being down on groundskeepers and being down on buys seems very dangerous. This could end very poorly for Nerdbound if he's not careful. He has to be very cognizant of what he can and can't get away with. Because right now, the game ends in literally 3 buys. You messenger messengers, empty the ports, and then buy a messenger. Like, the game ends very quickly here. I'm not sure if experiment works to where you get 4 experiments off of 1 pop when you gain the messenger because of the keyword you, but at least 3 get gained. Maybe 4, but at least 3. I believe it doesn't work, because I think if I recall correctly, on a possession turn when you play Groom, I believe it also uses the keyword you, and it doesn't gain anything. So when you gain an estate off of Groom on a possession turn, you don't, in fact, draw a card. So I'm pretty sure you just get 3 experiments. But I could be wrong. Nerdbound very carefully looking at his options here, making sure that he doesn't accidentally leave a pile out for Catstealer. That's why he's taking a very long time. As I pointed out before, the game is very close to just straight up ending. Another advantage Catstealer has with all of these buys is he can get to Fountain faster if he really needs emergency points. That's not to say it's a good idea, because he has all of these groundskeepers. He has 4-1 right now in terms of groundskeeper power, but it is an option he has that Nerdbound really doesn't have in one turn that Catstealer could have, potentially. So there's definitely considerations for that as well. If I were Nerdbound, it's tempting to just buy a colony, but it's also a stop card for your hunting parties. It's also not helping you get an edge. It's just essentially preventing you from losing. And the festival makes no sense to me. Yeah, it's a buy. Catstealer needs the hunting party here. That could have ended very poorly. Okay, turn ends here. I would toss the messengers, but otherwise keep everything. Namely the 2 groundskeepers. It's tempting to want to buy province here, but I think you don't. Maybe you do. I'm certainly not touching the ports, I'm not touching the messengers, I'm not touching the experiments, and maybe by extension I'm not touching the groundskeepers.
The logic being, I have more buys, I have more groundskeepers. I'm going to just keep up with you step by step, and eventually I'm going to outscore you. Although the less buys thing is a lot less relevant now that Nerdbound has a festival and an extra messenger in his pocket. So now he has more buys to play with, and in fact may already win here. Can he win here? Since he took that messenger the one turn, he can empty the messengers, then he can empty the ports off of 2 buys. Yeah, this is a win if he has the money for it. Because he has 1 groundskeeper in play. Let me count this right now. He has 2 messengers, 1 festival, that's 4 buys. He can messenger once, emptying the messengers. Then he can buy 2 ports, so that's 3, 6, 9. Oh, this is a win. Nerdbound just wins here. GG. Win for Nerdbound. Very unfortunate dud by Catstealer. Good eye by Nerdbound for looking for that pile out and succeeding. And now we're on to the final game. Wow, what a board. What a board. There's a lot to do here. Druid seems awful, so you can just skip that. There's developed sewers. You could open develop scheme, then get a sewers off of your turn 3 buy. I typically like to buy sewers after the shuffle. I'm not sure that's the correct line. In fact, I almost don't think it is because there's Forge. You could just gun it for an early 7 using Governor Draw and go for a Forge. That seems faster than Develop, although you probably will want to play with Develop as well, so maybe the tempo alone makes it worth it. It looks like they're going to do Develop Sewers, and they're just going to develop, put a Develop on top. I assume. Oh, there's even Poorhouse on the board. Oh, this is so bad. Opening Develop is so horrible. I didn't even see Poorhouse. And they didn't see it either. It's okay, I feel a lot better about myself now. Yeah, Forge is the very clear way to go. Very, very, very funny. Man, I remember back when there was less expansions and Poorhouse came out in Dark Ages and everyone would play with Develop. And it would happen a lot more frequently where Poorhouse would show up, you'd play with Develop, and then, oh, whoops, you get Poorhouses. So, yeah, not good. So, it doesn't happen nearly as frequently now that there are a lot more expansions and a lot more cards. We have Adventures, we have a couple more promos. We have Adventures, we have Empires, Nocturne, Renaissance, Menagerie. And Donald even said that there's a new set coming. It's nowhere near complete. He has to test the cards. But he has an initial draft ready to go once the pandemic lifts. Is what he has announced in Discord. Just as an aside. So eventually there will be that expansion too. I would assume with how testing usually goes and distribution, I wouldn't expect it until next year. Especially since the pandemic stuff still isn't over. But that's something to definitely keep an eye open for. Yeah, this is just quite depressing. The Stampede is very good. It's really funny because this board's super dynamic, but just the develop poorhouse synergy miss alone makes this also miserable to watch. So this has just been a rough day for games in general. And I have to say, I guess the nice thing is you can develop silver into Border Guard and Hostelry, get a horse. Very nice things. Kill the poorhouse here. So there is a bit of a silver lining here with the develop in this turn. However, Nerdbound can also probably just do the same thing. You can even just kill a horse. But I don't see a reason to. You might as well just draw the silver. Nerdbound right now is thinking about how we can get to Forge, I think. That's a reasonable line. He has a silver and a copper in there, right? So you could just Governor gain a gold. Oh, he's got a lot more junk in there. Okay, never mind. He does get there. But I'm almost wondering... This might sound crazy, but I'm almost wondering if it's just better to develop the silver into a hostelry, take 6 horses, kill the poorhouse, and then get a border guard and hostelry on top. I almost think that's better. Governor remodel is a little suspicious. But, okay. He's going to take 4 horses here, I assume. Wait, I'm so confused. What happened? Okay. I still think you could make a case for Forge just being the buy there. But, okay. Nerdbound does seem to be very ahead, though. For sure. Nerdbound takes Horn, as expected. There's like 3 horses on top, right? I think there's 3 horses on top. Nerdbound must be thinking about developing an estate into cards he can draw with Governor? Or maybe he's thinking about what's on top. It's not clear. Duplicate. So no Forge? At this point, Forge doesn't look so great. So I guess no Forge. Whatever you take here, you almost really can't take the horse. You can't trigger the shuffle. So it looks like he's going to do that, which seems reasonable to me. And he's going to keep the poorhouse for economy. Druid. Am I missing something with Druid? No, it's just bad. Okay. I guess it's a plus buy. On a board where I'm not really sure you really ever need to use it. I certainly wouldn't buy it. Maybe I would gain it mid-turn if I really wanted it. But it's definitely a stop card now. It's one less border guard to draw. And certainly Nerdbound does not need a druid. I think we can all agree on that. Anyway, this looks over. I think Nerdbound just wins this. He's playing a much less confused strategy. Catstealer does not have a single governor. I really don't know what Catstealer's doing at all. But I hope he surprises me and makes things interesting. I'm really tired for some reason. Scheme governor, reasonable. Not in that order, though. You messed up the order. Should have been scheme last, then governor. This way is just weird. He could have gained a gold there, now he has to draw. It's very awkward. This hand is also very awkward. Again, can't really afford to take a governor here. The deck is starting to come back together. It's starting to take shape with Catstealer, but it seems way too late. It seems very slow. Nerdbound is going to get at least 2 more governors here. And that's like worst case, getting just 2. Because you can always just develop a hostelry into a 5 and then duplicate it. I believe Nerdbound has the should have the actions. He should have at least have 1 more hostelry. He might need 2 more to do it, but if he just does it as his last play, then he really needs 2 hostelries to do it. Wow, that's it? He doesn't have any more. Well, that's a problem. Okay, well, I mean, he's still getting 2 off the buy, but that is definitely an issue. And that's not nothing. You know, that's definitely something. Game is also getting kind of close to ending. Poorhouses and border guards are very low. It won't be too long before there's a potential pileup. Also, if this game ends on scoring at all, it's not going to end on colonies. It's going to end on provinces, because provinces are just way too fast. By the time you even get your colony stuff started, it's like governor just grabs all the provinces. Okay, so there is this line. Okay, that's reasonable. Good line. My brain is off. Should have seen that. Did Catstealer buy 2 cards last turn? Nope. Did he even play the Druid? Nope. So they bought the Druid and it's doing nothing for their deck. So Catstealer needs to be more cognizant of what he can and can't do and his plans with the deck building. Which, you know, that's the entirety of Dominion. I'm basically telling him to play Dominion better, which is... that's a very, very silly thing to say. It's not very helpful, but... this Druid doesn't seem to be doing anything, unfortunately. Like, I don't see him buying more than 1 card, realistically. He only has 1 governor. That means Nerdbound has 6 governors. That's insane. That's actually just insane. Can Catstealer empty the governors? Which I'm not sure I would recommend, but you could probably get away with it. Just because I don't think Nerdbound doesn't have a develop anymore. It's Catstealer with all the develops, right? Oh wait, no. Catstealer has 2 governors, which means Nerdbound has 5. Okay. I was surprised Nerdbound had 6. That didn't sound right. I knew 5, but maybe not 6. We're drawing? Okay. Alright, you can kill the hostelry into Governor Scheme, which seems reasonable. Kill one of the poorhouses. I don't even think that's correct, to be honest. The problem here is there's really just no way to win. He can get kind of close, actually. He gets kind of close. If he kills the silver into a hostelry and a druid, then draws the hostelry and the druid, that's 3 gains there. And it's pretty close, actually. But not quite. Not quite there. I think you would have to kill the border guard to develop and a poorhouse. But then you top deck a poorhouse. And then you're just like out of actions. I don't think there's a line that he can just get a freak win this turn. I think he has to buy province here, but it's not going to matter because Nerdbound's going to just score 1 billion points this time around. And now he finally plays a druid, but it's just like... Now it's just replacing itself next turn. And, yeah, it was just a bad druid. The druid is just absolutely terrible. So now Catstealer has to hope that Nerdbound, like, keels over and dies during his turn, or he somehow doesn't see a pile out, or he somehow... And also, why am I calculating a 2 pile? There's not even a 3rd pile. What am I talking about? Okay, I mean, alright. Cool. I'm just insane. Alright. I mean, that's fair. That's entirely fair. Maybe Nerdbound will be crazy and go for colonies. That would be an out for Catstealer. Not a very good out, but it would be an out. Also, it's not really clear to me how Nerdbound ever empties piles, so Catstealer could have gotten the 2 governors and maybe made a game of it. That's also a possibility. But then he doesn't get a province. And now Nerdbound just takes, like, what, 3 provinces? I'm not sure I even would. I would just, I'd gain a gold off of one of these governors, border guard, draw the gold, then I would take triple that way. That triple that way seems better. Yeah, and Catstealer's doing a very good job here of trying to maximize his gains and try to find a way to win here. Absolutely excellent stuff here from Catstealer. I don't agree with killing the hostelries necessarily. One of them, okay. Maybe not both of them. I don't know. He can't have that many hostelries. But can Catstealer somehow quad? That's a wild question. Can he quad? I cannot conceive of a universe where Catstealer quads. Triple sounds like a stretch. Is it possible? I don't know. I don't think it is. Because the problem with these governors is, alright, Nerdbound did draw him a lot of cards. But there's not a lot of draw. All the horses are in their pile. You're going to have to use at least 2 or 3 of these governors as draw. I mean, then you only have 1 or 2 governors left, and then it's rough. It's very rough. And I think the pile out idea here for triple poorhouse border guard and 2 provinces and an estate is even harder. Like, that's not even possible. You just have to empty provinces here. It's turn 10, by the way. Turn 10 of this game. It feels like it's been like 20 turns, but it's only really been 10 turns, and that's insane to me. Dominion has gotten so fast and so optimized with how people play the game that even with all of the like tons of mistakes that both of these players are making, it's still ending by like turn 10. That's insanity to me. Like, that tells me this game could end by like turn 8. That's wild. That was like unheard of. You'd get one of those games once in a while in like 2015 or 2016. Now it just happens like every 4 games. It feels like, if not more. The problem with this line... Okay, so he's going for some kind of pile out. Can he do it? I really hope he can. It would be so cool if he could pull this off. I would be so happy if he could pull this off. I just don't know how. I don't see a line. I don't see a way to score 2 provinces in a state and 2 hostelries. And it wouldn't have to be a state. It could be a duchy if the develop remodel makes more sense. But I just don't see a way here. And that's the problem. Basically, I have to hope for a Nerdbound dud. It feels like. But then you draw them cards, and it's just not so good here. Does Catstealer have another develop? 2, 3... Yes, he does. He has one more develop. So he could develop silver into a hostelry. Draw a hostelry? But then how are you tripling? Or how are you... This feels like it has to be develop. But it can't be develop. And once again, this druid is just absolutely sabotaging his deck. Does he have a druid on top, or did he kill one of them? No, he has a druid on top. Nerdbound can take a duchy here, and probably should. I would happily kill this duplicate into a duchy. Seems very reasonable to do. Yeah. Well... This is just giving up. But I also don't know what else you can do. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Congratulations to Nerdbound for winning 5 games. Catstealer put up a pretty good fight, in my opinion. He did some suboptimal stuff, but realistically, this game should have gone 4-2. I just think that game where Nerdbound opened Ray's Wandering Minstrel was just one of the craziest things I have ever seen. And that should not have happened. That's not Catstealer's fault. Like, that's just brutal. You know, that happens. That happens sometimes, and other than that, I think my commentary mostly stands for itself, except for Game 5, where I just kind of deserted the game at the start, and then I came back and didn't really miss anything. So, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next time.